Hey everybody, what is going on? I am Maximus Rex and this is Big Baby Reviews. Today is Eric Larson Day, so we're looking at the Savage Dragon issue number 40. Kind of a huge turning point in the Savage Dragon storyline as to what we've known before about the dragon. This cover here also kind of gives you a hint of what's going to be going on. We don't see these costumes quite yet in this issue. They only appear on the cover. But again, the hint that's going on there with the costume design, very kind of Captain America inspired. So the idea here is they're kind of hinting at the fact that what's going to be going on is Dragon's going to be going to work for the US government. I'll give you more details as to why that is in this issue as we go through it. Pretty great looking cover, just kind of a team shot. Probably recognize most of these guys as the homeless superheroes living in the sewers and Freak Force. So why are they there? Let's find out. Crack her open, have a look inside. So this is July 1997. That's going to be coming a little bit more important later with a story point. Eric Larson, creator, writer, pencil, inker. Chris Eliopoulos, letterer. iHawk doing the colors. And that's where we're going to stop. So starts off with kind of a redo of that classic Uncle Sam propaganda poster in and around World War II, right? Uncle Sam wants you to lead the new Youngblood and even uses the actual Youngblood logo. So that's kind of the major story beat here, is that Youngblood's been decimated because of the earlier Martian invasion. That's in story, right? How they've worked it out. And Dragon is kind of being recruited. Well, first it's Super Patriot, as you can see on this page here, but eventually it's going to be Dragon. And why that's important is because there's some real world reasons, I think, for why this is going on in the storyline. In the real world, in around 1997, Rob Liefeld has either quit or been thrown out of Image Comics, right? So there's kind of a Youngblood history within the Image universe, but at that point, Larson knows that no more Youngblood comics are going to be published within the Image banner, at least for another 20 odd years. Right now, I think he's back now at Image Comics with Youngblood. But for the longest time, there were no Youngblood comics at Image, right? And of course, that also meant because Rob had the license of the characters and the creator, the rights to the characters, they would probably not be appearing in any Image comics anymore. So he actually works that into the storyline where, again, Youngblood's been decimated by the alien invasion, the Martian invasion, and the Dragon characters now are going to be recruited by the government to kind of be the Youngblood team or replace the Youngblood team. So kind of a major shift. You know, what I knew about Savage Dragon was that he was a police officer for the Chicago PD and all that. That's all changing, has been kind of set up in the last few issues, and that's all changing in this issue here. I feel like he's still kind of tweaking Super Patriot's design, right? The shoulder pads are changing a little bit. I know that sometimes when other artists draw his characters, he'll see some stuff he likes about the way they depict them and work them into his version of the characters. So not quite apparent here, but in past issues, he's used the Dave Johnson kind of manga-ish cybernetic designs for the arms when they crack open and guns come out and stuff. And I feel like the shoulder pads used to be a little bit rounder and higher up, and now they're kind of more oval and for lack of a better word, kind of angled down or sagging, but, you know, still Super Patriot, but still tweaking the look. And then, boom, we get a bit of a shot of She-Dragon, who we know from last issue has basically been hired by the police department to replace Savage Dragon. Not quite as powerful as he is, so she's really getting her ass kicked here. And surprise, Savage Dragon actually shows up and helps her out, knocks these guys out. And what we learn is that basically for a little while, we don't learn here, but later on in the issue, that Dragon has become a bounty hunter, basically, between jobs, between the police department and what he's going to be doing for the American government. So Horde here still not happy with how it's kind of things have worked out for him. He was asking this guy who's secretly his pawn, right, in the police department to get rid of the Dragon, which he did. But Dragon is still a thorn in his side and thorn in the Vicious Circle side. So he's not too happy about that. And so what this guy says is, you know, you control the Vicious Circle. Why don't you just send him all after Dragon and get rid of him? Bit of a subplot here with William. We find out that his brother is in prison. He's about to be released. And that William, I guess, is the one who put him there or pointed the finger at him for some crime that's not really mentioned here. And William's just hoping he's going to be a good guy. And he's saying, yeah, good luck with that. That's probably not going to happen. So Dragon gives us a bit of exposition here on where we're at. This is the page where we kind of find out. You know, he says, I've been doing a little volunteer work on the side, helping clean up after the Martians. They left behind more than just a big mess. I've found all kinds of cool crap. This will come to play in the next few pages, so that's why I just wanted to read that out. He's talking with Alex, saying life goes on, you know, even though I'm not a police officer. And boom, turn to a nice double page splash of, you know, most of, if not all of the Vicious Circle kind of confronting Savage Dragon here. And that's bad news for him because, you know, some of those characters are pretty powerful. Taking on one or two of them at a time, that's one thing. Taking on the whole gang, not quite sure how successful Dragon's going to be there. Still doing a good job with the background elements and the debris, you know, again, repercussions from the alien invasion from Mars Attacks. And right away is shot by one of the guys, so to show you that they are fairly powerful. It's a pretty bad wound to Dragon's shoulder here, but he pulls out one of these, this stick here he's got lying around, just happened to have it lying around, I guess, and shoots the Vicious Circle guys. And basically what happens, he points it out, hey, we're shrinking, oh my god, somebody do something, help us help. So in one fell swoop, he's basically just made miniaturized the whole Vicious Circle, so they're probably not as strong, and right away they just decide to escape into the sewers. So I don't know where that's going, but that's kind of an interesting bit of plot there. Jesus Dragon, what was that? Martian shrinking ray. Like I said, I found all kinds of cool crap. So I like the way this issue also, like I said, incorporates some of the story elements from the Mars Attacks miniseries and the Savage Dragon issue that kind of was almost like a crossover, tie-in crossover issue with that crossover. And then later on, like I said, he works in the Youngblood elements, which I'll point out when we get there. Crushes the gun, so I guess these guys are shit out of luck and they're going to stay small, at least for the time being. Then this gentleman in a suit shows up. Dragon, I'm from the United States government. And I like this, crap, I destroyed the gun. So implying that he might have used it on this guy. And this is a funny line too. Look, I know there are some questionable deductions on my return, but in my line of work, I'm not from the IRS. Oh, never mind then. So who is this guy? I was sent here by the President of the United States. How would you like to head up Youngblood? And we'll find out a little bit later. Setting up some more subplot stuff here for future issues. So Powerhouse, right, the chicken guy, meets up with the octopus here. And what the octopus reveals is that Cyberface, still alive, his head now has been put in place of Hitler's brain inside of Brainy Ape. So I'm not exactly sure where this is going to lead, but it's once again a very interesting subplot. Lots of, again, you know, when it comes to body horror and severed heads and brains and bowls and stuff, Larson's a master. He does tons of it. I think it's great. I love the Kirby-esque fingers here on the nails. The look of the aesthetic of the hand here is very Kirby. All this wire work that he did in white medium, I guess he decided to add most of that after, or figured, you know, it just might be quicker to fully ink this in and then come back with some white medium. Excuse me. Some of the wires I feel like he could have taken a little bit more time to do, but hey, overall the effect, it does work, and we understand that he's plugged up to all these wires and stuff, so it looks really good. So Dragon here's talking with this government gentleman, and I like what he says here. I don't want the new team to be called Youngblood. So again, because that is something that's copyrighted by Rob Liefeld in the real world, you know, to continue on with Savage Dragon leading a Youngblood team, or a team called Youngblood, might lead to some licensing and rights issues. So he's kind of in the story circumventing that in a way. But that's also interesting, because I would imagine Dragon would not want his team to be called Youngblood. And this is, I don't know if this is a dig at Rob Liefeld or, you know, the concept of Youngblood in the Image universe, or both, but the name is meaningless. It was dreamed up to sound new and hip and cool, to sell merchandise. That's not the kind of operation I want to head up. So I almost feel like there's two layers to this, where within the actual comic book universe, and then in the outside, in the real world, you know, Larson kind of saying that, you know, that's not the kind of comic he's making. That's the kind of comic Rob Liefeld makes. So I feel like it's a slight dig at Liefeld there. And he says, just retire the name, right? I love these simple, you know, cropped establishing shots he uses, right? He used it a lot on the police station. Now he's using it on this building that we're going to assume is a government building. And like I said, when you crop it, you know, and you tilt at this angle, makes it more interesting, and also saves on a lot of drawing when it comes to deadlines. This character here, I don't know if he's meant to look like Jimmy Olsen or something a little bit, but he kind of reminds me of him. And they have a discussion here where, you know, he's talking about marketing and, you know, licensing for the team members. And again, Savage Dragon is reiterating that he's not there for that. He's there to hopefully save lives, right? Recruitment wise, it kind of makes sense. So Dragon goes out and recruits members for his Youngblood team. That's what we get for the next few pages. So here he's recruiting Freak Force, right? And there's a weird kind of disconnect here because Barbaric has his long hair again on the cover. Excuse me, on this page here, but on the cover he's got his shorter haircut. So I don't know if that's a sign of things to come. It's almost like this is a preview of the look of that team next issue or in a few issues. I'm not quite sure exactly when that's going to be revealed because, as I said, this is the first time I'm reading these issues. And anything past this up to issue 50 I haven't read before, so I'm reading it before the review for the first time. This is very small, but this kind of shot of Barbaric here, so tiny, just almost looks like a Mad Magazine kind of drawing, but I really like it for some reason. That's such a small scale. He's still got kind of some good body language there, and you could tell that Barbaric's really hoping he can be part of this team. So again, our superpowered homeless crew is also recruited by Dragon, right? That's what he's doing here. And he even goes to our buddy Chris, who was secretly Star, and offers up a position on the team with him. But Chris here says basically he's, with Alex not knowing yet that he's Star, he doesn't think that's such a good idea. And maybe he'll just play it cool and just, stay a cop and not get into too much trouble. This was a funny sequence. I've never, really read Kill Cat, and I even forget this. Is it Kid Dynamo? Is that his name? I'm not quite sure. But Kill Cat's kind of a strange character, not very likable. There was that whole intervention with Dart a few issues ago that, he's kind of a jealous, macho kind of guy. And he's here to recruit for the team, but he says, Kill Cat, I'm not interested in you. The offer was to your partner, right? What? And I won't work with idiots, but Kid's an idiot. Yeah, but he's a powerful idiot. We hope to change that with some decent training. Hey, so kind of an insult to both Kill Cat and Kid Dynamo. At least Kid Dynamo is, I think that's his name, is being offered a position on this new team, this government-led, Youngblood-esque team led by the Savage Dragon, right? So here he's kind of presenting his recruits to the government agents, right? Letting them know who he wants on the team. And kind of a weird end to this issue, I'm just going to say. I do like the shot of Horde on his throne here. Some stark lighting, and then you've just got a few of the small Vicious Circle characters, and he's like, oh god. It almost feels like a Charlie Brown reference, right? To me, with the sigh there. So he's got a whole other set of problems right now, Horde does, with his miniaturized Vicious Circle. Not very effective at that size, I guess. And I feel like this should be the end of the issue, right? But then we get these weird Testing Dragon pinups by Victor Bridges and Terry Austin. So I don't know if these are was this meant for a story or a miniseries or something? I'm not quite sure. It's basically just 3 pinups. Victor Bridges, it's been said, definitely has a very John Byrne inspired kind of style overall. So to get Terry Austin to ink him here, just kind of plays into that John Byrne vibe, and I think it works. It's definitely not some horrible artwork. Again, an angle like this, kind of a down shot, I think I'm always very impressed when artists can do that right, because it's one of the hardest angles I find to draw from. Couple of weird looking mechanical dildo penises back here, so that's a little odd. But other than that, some pretty stellar artwork. So is this some sort of interlude? So before, the team is formed and stuff, they're actually testing Dragon, see how strong he is. I'm not quite sure. Just some fun looking pinups overall with him and Rapture. So also, like, the fact that he and Rapture are kind of, buddy here, which they haven't been romantically linked in the last few issues for because of a rift between them. So I just continuity wise, I'm not exactly sure where this is supposed to fit, but interesting as far as pinups go. Is it maybe to pad the comic? I know Larson's been pretty solid doing 22 pages each issue. So you know what? I'm going to do a quick countdown just to see if maybe my theory is right there. So if there are less story pages here, maybe they were just thrown in to pad a bit. So 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15, 17, 19, 21, 22. No, we got a regular number of pages. Yeah, just weird again because we don't have the pinup in the middle of the issue. In this issue, he's been doing it pretty consistently for a long while now, so I'm not quite sure why he chose to have 3 whole pinups at the end, but interesting bonus stuff, I guess. And there you have it. So we'll have to wait till next issue to find out exactly how that works out for Dragon, and how that team's going to be set up, what their costumes are going to be like, and what their next adventures are going to be. I'm assuming the costumes are going to look like this, but again, I don't know for sure. I haven't read those issues yet. So next week, we'll find out more about this whole Savage Dragon leads Youngblood, or a Youngblood-like team for the government. We'll find out next week how that goes. So that is it for my review for the Savage Dragon issue number 40, guys. If you are still watching and you're still subscribed, thank you so much. I really do appreciate your support and you hanging in there. If you're watching but you're not subscribed, please do so below. It really helps the channel out, helps us grow, helps us get close to our next milestone of 500 subs, which is the point at which YouTube recognizes us as a real channel and starts helping us out a little bit with the algorithm and getting us out there to other people. So everyone out there, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and have yourselves an awesome day. King Comics presents Big Baby, Volume 1, Issues 1 to 13, 204 pages of story and art. King Comics also presents Star Crasher one-shot, 32 pages, cosmic sci-fi surrealist adventure. You can find these fine comics at KingComics.CA, at MaximusRex13 on Instagram, or on Facebook, MaxRex or Big Baby.
Like!